Hi, everybody. I am Lynn Tranchel, and I am really excited to provide this webinar for you, Thriving Through the Holidays. And we're going to be starting in a few minutes. As you come in, just type into the chat where you are coming in from. And let's add also what the weather is like. What's the weather like? We've had gorgeous weather here the last couple of days. So where are you coming in from? Where are you dialing in from, interneting in from, webifying in from? And just to have a little note about what the weather is like where you are. Let me just turn a little music on. That's a good idea. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes. As we get ready to start, just type in the chat where you're calling in from and what is the weather like where you are. Hey everybody, this is Lynn Tranchel. Just as you come on, just type in the chat where you're coming in from and let us know what the weather is like where you are. And is it unusually warm? Is it unusually cold? Is the kind of weather that you love? Is it typical holiday weather? What kind of weather are you having where you are right now, and where are you right now? We're going to be starting in just a few minutes. So as you come on, just type in the chat where you're coming in from and what is the weather like there. Well, I have 6 o'clock, and I do like to start on time. So I'm going to get going. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coming on live, and then I'm going to come back to the PowerPoint presentation. So just as you come on, just let me know where you're coming in from and what the weather is like there. So I'm going to switch over to going live. It will go blank for a few minutes and then it will come back. So just know that if it is blank for a millisecond or so, then that is normal. And it just means I'm switching back and forth. Hi there, this is Lynn Tranchel, and I am excited to be here with you today, this evening, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are in the world. And this is a great topic for this time of year, since we are in the swing of the holidays. It's always much more fun to be thriving through the holidays than just surviving. So I want to let you know that you are going to need a paper and a pen, and if you have one handy, a 3x5 card. If you don't have a 3x5 card handy, that's okay. Maybe you can just write it on a piece of paper and transfer it over to a 3x5 card later. I want to make sure that you know that I will be checking the comments every now and then, and it will be a little bit of a delay between when I ask a question and the comments come through to me. And also, since this is a webinar and I can't really see you, you may be tempted to multitask. You may be tempted to be checking your cell phone for texts or email messages, or you may be doing other things at the same time. But I really invite you to give yourself the gift of this webinar, the gift of this thriving through the holidays, so that you really get the most out of it and stay present to everything that you could possibly glean out of this. Before we get going, I want to tell a little story about a Thanksgiving mouse, a mother mouse and her children. It was after the Thanksgiving dinner, and the mother mouse came out to see what scraps were left for her. So she was walking out, and her children were behind her, and they round the corner, and there's this big cat. And the cat spots the mother mouse and the baby mice and comes running closer and closer and closer and closer to the mouse. And the mother mouse gets up on her hind legs and goes, "Woof, woof, woof." And the cat gets startled and turns around and runs away. And the mother mouse says to her children, "See, children, it is very important to know a second language." So we might think that's kind of funny for a mouse to think dog barking is a second language, but there really is a language of success, and there really is a language of thriving under any circumstance. And that's some of the things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about some tools and some exercises and some things that you can do on a daily basis to make sure that you're always thriving. Again, this is Lynn Tranchel, and I want to tell you a little bit about how I got to this place in my life. It was a number of years ago, and my mother was dying of cancer, and I had just ended a significant relationship, and I was really feeling very lost and heartbroken, and I just wasn't sure what I should do next, where I should go. How many of you have felt that way in the past, where you're just feeling lost and frustrated and lonely? And I decided to go to hear a friend of mine. One of my core values is fun. So I decided that it would be good for me to go and have some fun. So I went to listen to a friend of mine sing. And as I was there, I looked around the room and I noticed that the bookstore there sold a lot of books that I had read. And I figured any place that sells books I've read has to be a good place for me to go. So I started attending there. Happens to be a Unity Church on Delaware. And the first 3 Sundays, I felt this sense of connection and belonging that the first 3 Sundays, I actually cried. And people that knew me back then would think it was very unusual for me to respond that way. But it just felt so comforting and welcoming there. So I started taking classes, and then I started teaching classes. And I really loved it when people got it, you know, when that light bulb goes off and people start seeing things differently and start doing things differently. And that's how I decided to become a licensed teacher and a certified life coach. And the rest is history. And now I get to help people just like you every single day of my life. And I wake up every morning excited and thrilled at the new possibilities of learning more and serving more and helping you on a daily basis. So I'm going to switch back over to the PowerPoint presentation. So this is going to take a little bit of a delay for a moment. Oops. Back on the PowerPoint presentation. So again, as you're joining, if you could just type in the chat where you're coming in from and what is the weather like there? And we're going to continue on. So let's take a look at why the holidays can be so stressful. If we look at this chart, there's a number of reasons that cause stress during the holidays. Some of them are easier for us to manage and some of them aren't. So if we look at this pie chart here, we can see just 3 of the top stressors when it comes to holidays. So there's also some things that happen in our everyday life. Oh, welcome, Rod. It's great to have you here. So we're going to continue on. And again, it might be a little bit of a delay between the time that you type and the time I see it. And I'm only going to be checking the comments every now and then. So thank you for responding. And so there are also other things in our life that can cause us some stress. So let's look at some of these. And a lot of people talk about work-life balance, but there isn't really balance. You're always really balancing. Just like when you stand up, you're just balancing. On the other hand, there is harmony, and that's really what we want, is we want harmony. And then when it comes to stress, when you're lifting weights, it can be stressful, and you need stress to create that strength as you're doing it. But it's really the chronic stress that causes distress and dis-ease. And there's also positive stress, and your body really doesn't know the difference between positive stress and negative stress. For example, you graduate from college or you have a baby. Those are both stressful situations. On the other hand, they're also, in the end, you have what you want. So we really want to pay attention to how we handle our stress. And then we look at these other Time magazine articles about the economy, the war in the Middle East, the smog, healthcare. And if you look closely at all of these magazine articles, you'll see that they are all between 30 and 40 years old. So think about it. We have been in the same conversation for at least the last 30 years. So now you can see why people can look like this. So how do we change that? And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to give you some tools and support so that you can learn to thrive and not just survive. So the first thing we're going to do is look at, this is one of my clients who said that she used to give up out of frustration and think that things were never going to change. And through the tools that she learned, her life is now much happier. And we are going to be learning some of those tools tonight too. So this is where we're going to need our 3x5 card. So get out a piece of paper, and along the side, we're going to have you write down up to six or seven people that you admire. And we're going to, so right now, just along the side of the paper, let's write down 6 or 7 people that you admire. We'll give you a few minutes to do that. And this is what we call our cue card. So just 6 or 7 people that you admire. They have qualities that you admire. And then once you have those names, write down up to 3 qualities that you admire about that person. Why are they on your list? What is it about them that you admire? And it's just a single word or a short phrase. So next to each name, write down up to 3 qualities that you admire about that person. And again, it's 6 or 7 people, up to 3 qualities. The first time I did this, I had 3 names and 1 quality each. So whatever you come up with is perfect for you. So does anybody have a name that appeared on their list that they're surprised about? If you'd like to be willing to share that, or a quality that surprised you, just share that in the chat. So again, we're going to have 6 or 7 names, and beside each name, up to 3 qualities that you admire about that person. And then once you have those qualities, look through the list to see if there's any duplicates or if any can be combined into 1 quality. So then circle the combination so you have up to 7 qualities. And that's where we're going to use the 3x5 card if you have one. If not, you can find a card later and add it. So what we're going to do is add those qualities, those up to 7 qualities on the 3x5 card. And again, whatever number you have is perfect. The first time I did this, I had 3 names and 1 quality for each. I had 3 qualities on my card. So just find a way to combine those so that it distills down into 7 qualities. And write those down separately, the 7 qualities. And then when you have your 3x5 card, you're going to write at the top, this is who I have come here to be. And any of these qualities that you have on your cue card are really your qualities, because you can't recognize them in somebody else if you don't have them in yourself. So are any qualities there that surprised you, or any qualities that you don't feel as though you have right now? Because remember, if you can recognize it in somebody else, it is inside of you also. Okay, so we're going to continue on. And I just have a little way that one of my clients used the cue card. After being in a workshop and learning about the cue card, she was able to do it in her work the very next day. And it was a way for her to be able to act as one of the qualities on our cue card. So this is a good way to use our cue card. You ask yourself, which of these qualities would help me in this situation? And then be that quality and use that quality to help you. And you want to make sure that it's, if it is a situation where there's something that is dangerous, you really want to get out of that situation. So you want to use your cue card in maybe having ways of interacting with people or something like that. So our cue card is just another way for us to acknowledge the qualities that we have and to remind ourselves that we could be moving from a place of being in those qualities. So we want to also look at different ways of looking at things and things that we might consider a problem. And we want to remember that the problem is never the problem. The problem is always our thinking about the problem. It's the way we were brought up, or it's what's called race consciousness or collective consciousness. And I don't know how many of you know how elephants are raised. When they're baby elephants, a big chain is put around their leg and staked in the ground. And no matter what they do, they cannot move. They cannot pull that chain out of the stake. So they get to the point where they know and they feel that little bit of a tug that they're not going to go any further. And at that point, their trainers can replace that big shackle of chain and just put a river weed on there. And then even with this river weed, they could very easily snap it. And yet they know, or they think they know, that once they feel that tug, that they're not going to be able to move any farther. So the trainers just use that river weed around their ankle and pull them, and they go in the direction that they want to. So this is another client of mine that used to say that she used to complain that when something would go, what was I thinking? And then she was able to move forward. And one project, she's a playwright, and her director quit for personal reasons. And in the process, she said in the past, she would have either quit herself, quit the project completely, or she would have become the director herself. And neither one of those would have created extra stress. So she learned some tools and some tips to move through that. And the play was a huge success. And not only, she said, not only was the fact that the play was the huge success, but how she was in the process. So are you ready to take a leap? And are you ready to move into a place where you can create a vision for the life you would love? And we always want to ask ourselves, what would I love? When you ask yourself, what would I love, as opposed to what do I think I can do? What does the economy say I can do? What do other people think I should do? You come up with different answers, and you're much more creative, and you stay in that space of finding answers that are based on what you would love, not something external to you. So we always want to pay attention to our longings and our discontent. Our longings are what we want more of. Our discontent is what we want less of. And each one of these advises our conscious mind. So we want to be always looking at what we want more of and what we want less of. And remember, we dream in pictures. If I asked you to think about your front door, you would visualize your front door. You wouldn't see the letters D-O-O-R. So we want to make sure that we have a vivid picture of what we want. And we want to use our imagination, just like you were when you were younger. And we had imaginary friends. We had our imaginary what we wanted to be. Everybody, when they're younger, knows what they want to be when they grow up. So some people think they don't have an imagination. And yet, if I say to you, don't think about the Statue of Liberty, don't think about her out in the harbor, what are you thinking about? Oh, I just messed that one up. Sorry about that. So when we think about our imagination, I'm asking for a do-over here. Think about our imagination. If I say to you, your loved one is an hour late and you have no idea how to get a hold of them, your imagination goes wild. So everybody does have an imagination. And we want to make sure that we use approach goals as opposed to avoidance goals. You want to say things like live at my ideal weight versus getting out of debt versus losing weight. And you want to say living in financial abundance versus getting out of debt. And you want to always start it off with, I am so happy and grateful. And remember, clarity is power, and we want a clear vision of a life we love living. So just for a moment, look at the 4 areas of your life, your health and well-being. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take a quick assessment. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would where 1 is your barely got out of bed this morning. And 5 is you have vibrant health and you can do everything that you would love to do. So rate that on a scale of 1 to 5, your health and well-being. And next, we're going to look at our love and relationships. Are you longing to have that special relationship? How are your relationships with your friends and family? Again, on a scale of 1 to 5, meaning you really don't have relationships or your relationships are all very strained, to a 5, which means you have vibrant, healthy, happy relationships. So just write down a 1 to 5 there in your love and relationship section. And now we'll look at the time and money freedom. Do you have enough time to do what you want? Do you have enough money to do what you want? And again, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 meaning your time and money is non-existent, and 5 means you have plenty of time, plenty of money to do everything that you would love to do. So just rate your time and money freedom on a scale of 1 to 5. And then your career or creative expression, how you express yourself in the world. What kind of job do you have? How do you like your job? Is there anything about your job that you would love more of or less of? And again, on a scale of 1 to 5, rate your career or creative expression. And what we're going to do today is we're going to just pick one of these areas. You're going to pick, maybe you want to pick the one area that you have the lowest score on. So just pick one of these areas, and for a moment, if you feel comfortable, just close your eyes and visualize what would you love in that area of your life. If it's health and well-being, how do you wake up in the morning? How much energy do you have all day? If it's love and relationships, how are your relationships? Is there any discord or discontent? Are you looking for the love of your life? So how are your relationships? And time and money freedom, what would you love with respect to the amount of money and time you have in your life? And what would you do with your money? What would you do with your time? Would you give in ways you've always wanted to give? Would you have the house you've always wanted to have? And this section also includes philanthropy. So how do you give of your time and money? And then the last one, your career or creative expression. So just for a moment, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to really dream into that area of your life. So just take 2 minutes and ask yourself, what would I love? And again, make it vivid pictures. Use your imagination. Just like you wouldn't ask an architect to build you a comfortable house. You would ask them to build you a house with a certain number of rooms, a certain number of floors, windows. You want to have all of that detail in that area of your life. Okay, so let's put our pens down, and now that you have your vision or your dream in this one area, let's have a little way of testing it. You might ask yourself, how do I know this dream is right for me? How do I know that it's worthy of me, that I'm worthy of it? So we want to always ask ourselves these questions and test our dream. Does it give me more life? Does it align with my core values? Does it cause me to grow? Does it require a power bigger than myself? If you know how to get there, your dream isn't big enough. So you want to make sure that you have to grow in the process. And then the last one is there any good in it for others? And even if your dream is to find the love of your life, and you might think that is a little bit selfish. On the other hand, seeing somebody, two people in love is a gift to everybody in the world. So now that you've asked yourself these 5 questions, have you said yes to all of these? If you said yes to these, then you know your dream is right for you. And then we just have to make sure that we decide for our dream. And decide for your dream means that you move forward with it. And one of the ways that we can do this is my mentor, Mary Morrison. She said, you can't get to your dream, you must come from it. And in order to come from it, you must become it. So how do we become our dream? We're going to look at a number of famous dream builders and see how they became their dream. Henry Ford had the dream of an internal combustion engine and to have a car that was affordable to the middle class. And then we have the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers had a dream of a flying machine. And we have Martin Luther King Jr. He had a dream for equality and peace for all. And then more recently, we have Diana Nyad. She had a dream to swim from Cuba to Florida without a shark cage. And on her 5th or 6th attempt, at the age of 64, she finally accomplished it. And what about you? Are you a dream builder? Are you ready to take your dream and bring it into existence? Muhammad Ali says, champions aren't made in the gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside them, a desire, a dream, a vision. So we want to make sure that we have a vision, a dream for ourselves, and that it passed the 5-question test. And then when we want to become it. And I love this quote by Albert Einstein. He said, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. It's not philosophy, it's physics. So we want to find a way to get into that energy. We want to be putting on our dream. Step into being that person. Ask yourself, if this is who I am, what would I be doing? How would I walk out the door in the morning? What kind of conversations would I have? And you really want to 5-sensorize it. You want to make sure it has vivid pictures, vivid colors. What does this life look, smell, feel, taste, and sound like? And really get into that being that person. So just for a moment, spend another minute putting on that person and seeing what it would be like to really be that person. And we're just going to take a minute to do this. So again, get into being that person. How do you walk out the door in the morning? What do you do? What's one thing that you could do today to move you in the direction of your dream? And if you're comfortable, just close your eyes and visualize being that person. Okay. So did anything new come to you when you put on your dream? Let's go back to our list and whatever area you selected to write down your dream. And I encourage you after this webinar is over to do the same thing in all of the areas of your life. We really don't have time to concentrate on all of these areas. So whatever one you picked, did anything new come to you when you visualized putting on that, being that person? And then at the bottom of the page, you want to have this or something even better still. We always want to hold it in an open hand so that something better comes along. Whereas if you just said, this is what I want, then that is what you'll get. By saying this or something better still, you are open to seeing new things. And as you take one step, a new step may appear. And then we want to make sure that we, again, decide for it. And there was a gentleman who went into a bank with a check, and he asked the teller, can you cash this check for me? And the teller said, sure, just put your name on it, give me the check, and I'll give you the money. And the gentleman says, whoa, 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 you want me to sign the check and give it to you? And the teller said, yep, that's bank policy, sign the check, give it to me, and I'll give you your money. And the gentleman said, what if you don't give me my money? What if I sign the check and I give it to you and I don't get my money? And the bank teller said, that's policy. I can't give you the money until you give me the check. So they banter back and forth a few times, and the teller finally says, I can't help you. Maybe you could try another bank down the street. Maybe they would be willing to give you money without having to sign the check. So he goes to the second bank, same thing. Third bank, same thing. The fourth bank, he's back and forth a few times with the teller, and the teller finally reaches under the counter and pulls out a Nerf bat and baps him in the head and says, sign the check. So he signs the check, hands it over, he gets his money back. He goes back to the first bank and he said, see, down the street, they gave me my money. And the teller said, yeah, but I bet even down the street, you had to sign your name, right? And he said, yeah, but they explained it to me a little different than you did. So are you willing to sign your name to life? Are you willing to put your name on your dream? So at the bottom of the page, write your name and today's date. Very often we go to the teller of life and say, if you give me this, then I'll go towards my dream. Once I have the money, then I'll do it. Once I have the time, then I'll do it. Once I have the relationship, then I'll be happy. So how often do you go to the teller of life and ask for something without being willing to put your name on it? We always want to make sure that we sign our check. We put our name to anything we want to do. And that also puts us in a great place for being that person and being in that vision. And another thing that William James says, the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. So how do we do that? We have our paradigms, and our paradigms are what keeps us from choosing thoughts that are in alignment with our vision, our dream, is very often our paradigm. It's just our standard operating procedure. It's the way we've done things in the past. So we want to make sure that we're constantly choosing thoughts. And as soon as you take a step towards your dream, your paradigms will start talking to you. They'll come up with all kinds of reasons why you can't move forward. So you want to make sure that you're conscious of it. And if we look at the cause of our results, we first start with our thoughts. And based on our thoughts, we have feelings. And based on our feelings, we take actions. And based on our actions, we have results, which create new thoughts, new feelings, new actions, new results. New thoughts, new feelings, new actions, new results. So if you think about it, if you can stop that chain, stop that thought, and make sure the thought is in alignment with who you want to be, your vision. So after you change your thought, it changes your feelings, it changes its actions, and you have whole new results. So if you think about, you can make a 1% shift. And if you think about driving from New York City to California, 1% shift will take you to a whole new place, or driving anywhere. You want to make sure that you're constantly noticing your thoughts and changing your thoughts to be in alignment with our vision. And another thing that we have to remember, that is every single moment of every single day, we are being bombarded by 400 billion bits of information. That's 400 billion bits. Yet we can only recognize 2,000 bits. So if you think about it, where you're focusing your 2,000 bits, if you change what you focus on, you will see things completely different also. For example, it seems as though every time I go to buy a new car, as soon as I make a decision about what car I want to buy, overnight, there's hundreds of them on the street. And yet I don't think that people knew I wanted to buy that new car and went out and bought them 12 hours before I did. But it's where you put your focus. So if you can put your focus, keep your focus on your dream, on your vision, and reframe your paradigms, then you will be in a much better place to achieve your dreams. And if we look at 3 proactive keys to create lasting change, we have a mentor who supports, inspires us, and provides accountability, motivation, and guidance. And I am a mentor, and I have a mentor, someone who is there to turn around and help, reach out a hand and help you up. And then we have structure with programs and content, consistency and repetition, a way to install a new thinking pattern that consistently over time really creates a new paradigm, new ways of thinking. And then we have our vision. You have a part of your vision now in one area of your life, and it includes clarity, emotion, relationships, and it's always evolving. And nothing gives you more confidence than having a crystal clear vision and a mentor to work on your vision with you. And then it's your mentor who helps you work on your vision, helps you relate to that vision. And being in a structure of support helps you gain clarity on the vision, and it's all tied together, and it's the structure where you grow. And it's your mentor who helps you stay inside the structure of support, and they're all related and working together. And inside this geometry of growth is you. If you really want to grow, you want to put yourself in the middle of this triangle, the triangle of transformation. These are the 3 keys for creating the results that you want in the shortest period of time. Now, before we go on to the last few tools, as promised in the beginning of the webinar, I have a special gift for those of you who are ready to take action on your dream. And between my speaking and coaching schedule, I've carved out some time for just this, a vibrant living session. And what this is it's a 30-minute phone call with me where we look at where you are, where you would love to be, and the next most important step to get there. So some of you know that you're ready to invest in achieving your dream. And for you, this one-to-one time is what will be perfect for you. So if you are interested in finding out a little bit more about how to turn your dream into reality, how to live vibrantly, how to thrive through the holidays, just click on that register now button, and that will take you to my calendar. So any of you who are serious about achieving your dream, just sign up for your Vibrant Living session. So next we'll have a few more tools to move on to. And then we will wrap it up. So the next one is the power pose. And if you look up Amy Cuddy, she has this, she came up with this research where you stand with your feet shoulder width apart and your arms in an open, open stance. And it could be on your hips or up in the air. Just you want to make sure that your whole body is in an open stance. And what this does is if you do this for 2 minutes, it can change your physiology for up to 3 hours. And what it does is it increases your testosterone, which gives you confidence, and it lowers your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So these next few are going to be tools that you can use to get through situations. So doing this power pose again for 2 minutes can help you with your physiology for up to 3 hours. So you want to do that when you need it. And another thing is Mind PT. Mind PT is a pre-made mind movie that includes pictures, affirmations, and music. And listening it for 3 minutes can change your mindset for up to 6 to 8 hours. And anybody that stays till the end will receive a code to receive 3 complimentary Mind PT sessions. So if we pull this all together and review and bring this all home for a landing, we want to make sure that we have a good morning practice. And that practice, this is something that I received from Bob Proctor. You want to list 10 things that you're grateful for. And then sit in the silence and ask, what action can I take to get today? Who will I be today? Instead of a to-do list, you want to have a to-be list. And then you want to send love to up to 3 people that bother you or people that are bothering you right now. And then we want to reframe our paradigms. Again, our paradigms show up when we start moving forward. Our ego would rather have us be miserable than to change. So we want to make sure that we first notice what you're noticing. Is what I'm thinking empowering or disempowering? If it's empowering, lean into it and see what more you can glean. If it's disempowering, it makes you feel less than, then ask yourself, how can I change this? So we want to change our thoughts. We notice what we're noticing, and if our thoughts are disempowering, we want to change our thoughts. Remember that cycle of thoughts, feelings, actions, results. So this is where we stop those thoughts. We have a different thought, and then we take action based on the new thought. And this creates a new outcome. And you really want to make sure that you do take the action, because action is like the ground wire is to electricity. It really grounds what you're doing. It's saying to the universe, I'm serious, I'm making these changes, I'm changing my paradigms, I'm moving towards my dream, and you can't stop me. So we want to make sure that we notice what we're noticing, change our thoughts, take actions, and then you'll have a different outcome. And this is exactly what Cindy did. She said she had no idea how negative her thoughts were. And now she hits that pause button, says up until now, and she replaces one thought with a new one. And she's much happier now. And then on an as-needed basis, we want to always live from our vision. Ask yourself every day, if this is who I am, what would I be doing today? How would I walk out the door in the morning? Who would I be talking to? What shows do I watch on television? What don't I watch? What music, what do I listen to while I'm in the car? And then bring out your cue card and ask, what quality can help me in this situation? And be that quality. And then we want to use our power pose. We want to change that physiology so that we lower our stress and are more confident. And then we have Mind PT. Listening to Mind PT can really help you move out of your negative thinking and into a more positive way of being. And then we want to have find at least one thing you're grateful for. In any given moment, there is always at least one thing you can be grateful for. So these are the things that we will use as our tools to learn how to thrive through the holidays. So what would you do if you didn't believe it was impossible? And this really gets back to our vision again. And we want to use these tools and know that if you can dream it, you can achieve it. So I encourage you to go back over your dream or your vision and come up with what you would love in vivid detail, 5-sensorize all 4 areas of your life: your health, your relationships, your time and money freedom, and your career or creative expression. And then every day ask yourself, if this is who I am, what would I be doing today? And take those steps, because it's in the taking the steps that really cements you moving forward and helps overcome your paradigms. And this really is how we thrive through the holidays. And I just have one more quote from another client of mine who said that she is accomplishing great things. And would she have been able to find this on her own? And her answer was no. So if you really are ready to thrive through the holidays, use these tools on a daily basis. Use whatever tools make sense for you. I put in a lot of tools so that you can pick and choose what works for you, what doesn't for you. And I would encourage you to experiment, try different things and see what works. I know that the cue card works very well, and reframing your paradigms work very well. So I want to thank you. It's been a privilege for me to be with you today. And you have a splendid dream and you've written it down and you can feel it. You made a decision for it. And in order to achieve it, you must decide for it over and over again. Decide for it over opposing circumstances. You must decide for it when it's inconvenient. You must decide for it when it's uncomfortable and you don't feel like it. Because there's one elementary truth. If you commit to your dream and befriend the fear, because when you do, a whole stream of events issue from that decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unseen incidents and meeting materials, and you will move in the direction of your dream. So for those of you who are willing to commit to your dream, and for those of you who would love some support, hit that register now button for the Vibrant Living session and get on my calendar. And it would be an honor for me to serve you in this way. So again, I want to thank you. And I can see who is still here. Anybody that is still here will get a code for 3 Mind PT sessions. And again, really get into being that person, get into that dream and expand your dream into all 4 areas of your life. And use the power pose, use your cue card, reframe those paradigms, because you were meant for something so much better. And I really appreciate you being here, and I want to thank you. This is my friend Irene Boggs, and she is singing this song just for you. And just know, this is your time, this is your life, and I believe in you. So thank you for attending. I want to thank you for attending. And again, if you think having a 30-minute conversation with me would serve you, then click on that button and get on my calendar. And again, thank you. And continue to thrive, continue to move in the direction of your dream. It's been an honor and a privilege for me to be with you tonight in this webinar.